Moving left, trailing 3. The snap to Winston. Good protect. Pass the right. Caught. Touchdown. Tampa Bay. O.J. Howard. Fire them cannons. What a play. Set back of the fullback is Vita Vea from the 1. And the ball play action bootleg roll pass to Vita Vea. Touchdown. Tampa Bay. The big fella scores his first career touchdown. Oh boy, what a catch. He was wide open. Bucs win. Bucs win. Bucs win. Fire them cannons.
Welcome to another episode of the Swords Up Podcast. Today we're going to be previewing our Week 1 matchup of the 2020 season against the New Orleans Saints. I'm really excited for this game. Tom Brady against Drew Brees. So this should be the game of the week, considering that it's in the 4:25 p.m. slot on Fox. So what I'm going to be doing today in this prediction and preview video is obviously giving my prediction, but then also giving a few important stats and keys to the game. But first of all, looking at the injury report, there remains one huge doubt going into the game, no pun intended, as Mike Evans has been officially listed as of recording this as doubtful for Sunday's game, dealing with a hamstring injury. It's the same injury that bothered him at the end of last season and caused him to miss the last 3 games of the season. He practiced in limited participation today, but Bruce Arians said today that he's not going to make a final decision on Mike Evans' status probably until game time. So Mike Evans this Sunday is most likely going to be a game time decision. But even if he does or doesn't play, this should still be a pretty high scoring game. The Bucs and the Saints have 2 of the most explosive offenses in the NFL, so it should be quite the exciting matchup to see. So our last matchup against the Saints, we lost 31-17. That was at home. But our last matchup in New Orleans, we lost 31-24 in Week 5, and that was when Teddy Bridgewater was playing. So we're hoping to erase the 3-game losing streak, including the 2 games last year and the second game we lost in the 2018 season against the Saints. Now looking who's going to be a key to this game, Alvin Kamara would probably be a guy to focus on, but our rush defense was number 1 last year, so I don't see much of a problem trying to contain him. If the rush defense is as good as it was last year, we should be able to hold them up pretty well, as we did in the previous 2 matchups against him. But the problem with our team has been handling Michael Thomas. He's a tough player to cover, and he always puts up really good numbers against us. In fact, he's just been getting better every single year. Looking at his stats from his first 4 seasons in the NFL, in 2016, his rookie year, he had 92 catches for 1,137 yards and 9 touchdowns. In 2017, he had 104 catches for 1,245 yards and 5 touchdowns. In 2018, he had 125 catches for 1,405 yards and 9 touchdowns. And in 2019, last year, he set the single-season reception record with 149, and he also had 1,725 yards and 9 touchdowns. So obviously, he's gotten much better, and he's improved every single year, which is only going to be worse for us. Now, obviously, with the catches and yards, there's going to be some regression this year, most likely, but that doesn't mean he's still not going to be a force to be reckoned with against our secondary, which hasn't done the best against number 1 receivers in our division in the past. We've typically struggled against matchups with Michael Thomas and also Julio Jones of the Falcons. Now, last matchup in New Orleans against the Saints, we played against Teddy Bridgewater. This time it's Drew Brees. We were able to play against him in our second game last season against the Saints. But like I said, in the New Orleans matchup, it was against Teddy Bridgewater. Just quickly looking at Drew Brees' stats from last year, obviously he missed 5 games with a broken thumb, but playing 11 games, he had a 74.3% completion percentage for 2,979 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 115.3. So looking at that completion percentage, that's the second highest of his career, only 0.1% lower than his 2018 season, in which he set the single-season record for completion percentage. Now, obviously, looking at his career stats, his numbers have gone down in terms of passing yards and touchdowns, but his completion percentage has gone up over the last few years. Obviously, that's because he's transitioning into a different play style. Obviously, when you're an older QB, you can't make the same throws as you once did. And Drew Brees' arm did start to fade at the end of last year, but he's still a really good QB, and he'll be solid in week 1. Maybe he'll start to decline towards the end of the year, but he'll be at his strongest point in the first week of the season. So I talked about Alvin Kamara earlier, how I said that I don't think the defense will have much of a problem containing him. And in the last couple of matchups, that has been true. But overall, he's still been a productive running back. Just looking at his stats from last year, he also wasn't at 100% like Drew Brees and didn't play all 16 games. But he still was able to play 14 games and start 9. He had 120 carries for 728 yards and 8 touchdowns, and also had 81 catches for 826 yards and 5 touchdowns. So obviously the Saints have a load of weapons on offense. They also added Emmanuel Sanders in the offseason and have a pretty solid tight end in Jared Cook. But they will be without Cesar Ruiz on the offensive line, who is out for this game. And then the defensive side, they're going to be without Marcus Davenport, defensive end, and PJ Williams, their safety / nickel corner, is going to be questionable for the game. So that's the look at the Saints team. Looking at the key player for this matchup for the Buccaneers, since Mike Evans is expected to be a game time decision, he's currently listed as doubtful, like I said earlier. So who knows if he's going to play or not. But if he doesn't play, look for Chris Godwin to have a big game. In the last matchup against the Saints, which was at home, he only had 3 catches for 47 yards, but had a touchdown. But in the away game back in week 5, he had 7 catches for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Was explosive that game. That was one of his best games of the season in that one. So look for him to play a big role in the offense, in addition to maybe Scotty Miller, Justin Watson, or Tyler Johnson that could fill the snaps in the number 2 receiver slot if Mike Evans does end up missing this game, and Chris Godwin will have to be our number 1 for this game. So now the important part, my score prediction. This is our first game of the year. Obviously, most of the analysts that actually get paid think that we're going to get off to a slow start because we have a bunch of new pieces in the offense. Tom Brady, Gronkowski, they're learning the system, trying to get familiar, and that teams with a lot of new parts usually struggle at the beginning of the season. But the Saints are also a team that struggle in the beginning of the season. The last 3 seasons, they've gone a combined 2-4 in their first 2 games of the season. So the Saints typically aren't a hot starting team either. So one of these teams is going to get a win in their first game of the season. And my prediction will be that the Buccaneers do it. I think I might be a homer for this, but just this seeing the Saints just struggle at their early point in the season, the first 2 weeks, I think the Buccaneers will be able to take advantage of the Saints' early season struggles and win this game. I'm thinking this game will be really high scoring, considering, our secondary can be a little suspect. I think it'll take them time to develop. I think they'll get better later in the year, though. But the Saints defensively do not start very hot. They're the cause of most of their struggles early in the season. So because of that, I think it'll be a high-scoring game. And regardless if Mike Evans plays or not, I think Chris Godwin is such a good player where he's our number 2 on our team, but he can be a number 1, and he should be a number 1 if he were to play on most other teams. So I think the offensive production doesn't go down very much. And even if we don't rely on another wide receiver like Scotty Miller, Justin Watson, or Tyler Johnson, we'll probably run more 2 tight end sets and look to get O.J. Howard, Rob Gronkowski, and Cameron Brate a little more in the passing game. And also, we can mix up with a running attack of Ronald Jones. Maybe Leonard Fournette plays this week. I don't think he's going to have a huge role, and LaShawn McCoy. So I'm predicting the Bucs win, and I'll say they win. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, so I'll go with 34-31. Bucs win. Hopefully that's what the result will be. But let me know what you think about this game in the comments below. The season is finally here. The Buccaneers are about to get underway with their season, as with most other teams in the NFL, as the first Sunday of the regular season approaches. But that is it for me for now. Hope you guys enjoyed the games this weekend, no matter what team you're a fan of. here's to the NFL season being back. Thank you for watching, and go Bucs.